Greetings everyone and welcome to Coffee Black, where the Voyager adventures continue on YouTube. I'm your host, Captain G, and this is the channel where we talk anything and everything Star Trek Voyager related, from news, reviews, and more. So before I get started on the main topic, I just want to say thanks to all of you who dropped likes on our last video and subscribed as well. I especially really enjoyed all the conversation and comments everybody had about the topic. And as always, if there's information I leave out or information I'm not even aware of, I really appreciate people speaking up and saying so in the comments section. That way I get to continue to learn more about the franchise that I love. So today's topic, we're going to be talking about all the alternate ideas that the Voyager producers and writers were considering when creating the Star Trek Voyager finale. In addition, I'll also be giving you guys my thoughts on how Star Trek Voyager should have ended as well. One of the things that the creators were considering for the finale was the death of a major character. One of the characters in consideration was Catherine Janeway. However, Kate Mulgrew made it very clear that she did not want Catherine Janeway to die, but she did want her to technically go down with the ship in a way that would help the crew. Another character that they considered killing off was Seven of Nine. One of the producers in particular, Brandon Braga, expressed great interest in having her character die as a means to help the Voyager crew get home. In a 2013 interview, Brandon Braga was quoted saying, "I think Seven of Nine should have bit the dust. I think there had to be a real sacrifice for this crew getting home, a real blood sacrifice. Seven of Nine was, for me, designed to be a character that was going to die tragically. I planned that." Personally, I'm glad Seven of Nine was not killed off in the finale, because she was one of my favorite characters on the show, and it also left room for her character to return in Star Trek Picard. The interesting thing about these concepts is, despite the fact that they were shot down, they still managed to make it in the finale in a much smaller way. Firstly, with Seven of Nine dying in the alternate future timeline, which of course Admiral Janeway went back in time to fix. And then by the end of the episode, Admiral Janeway of the future sacrifices herself to save the Voyager crew and get them home. Creators also had another concept that was vastly different from the finale that we ended up getting. They actually were considering having Voyager reach home a lot sooner than the finale, possibly in the first half of the 7th season. The remainder of the season would have likely focused on the Voyager crew adapting to their new lives back in the Alpha Quadrant. What I find interesting about this concept is that it oddly mirrors some of the complaints that I have seen people have about the series finale of Voyager. A lot of people felt like a lot of things were left open. No one really knew what happened to the Voyager crew once they got home, especially the members of the crew that were formerly Maquis and technically considered criminals. But for whatever reasons, the creators decided not to do this and instead wanted to end the series with Voyager reaching Earth at the very end. And the final concept that was considered by the creators was similar to what we got, but in some ways much grander and a larger epic scale. The concept was that Voyager would be facing off against an armada of Borg ships intent on invading the Alpha Quadrant, and Janeway would come up with the plan to allow Voyager to be assimilated by the Borg, secretly knowing that after the crew and the ship was assimilated, the Doctor would release an anti-assimilation virus that would basically destroy the collective from the inside out. The finale would have ended with Voyager bursting out of the lead cube just as the Armada was to reach Earth, basically leaving an entire wreckage of Borg ships in its wake. Now, the concept of them being assimilated should sound familiar because it was actually done in a previous season for their two-parter Unimatrix Zero. In that episode, Janeway and her away team allowed themselves to be assimilated by the Borg as a means to have access inside the Borg cube and sabotage the collective. In the end, the idea of them being assimilated was scrapped, and we had a slightly smaller scale finale as a result. And that concludes all of the ideas that the creators were considering for the Voyager series finale. And now this is part of the video where I'm going to tell you guys how I would have ended Voyager and what I would have done with the Star Trek franchise as a whole. Now, just to give you guys a little bit of a background about my viewing of Star Trek Voyager, I originally watched the finale back when it aired years ago, and since then I've seen the series to its completion a few different times, most recently the end of the last year. And my opinion of the finale has changed a little bit. Back then, when I originally watched it, I didn't have any issues with the finale. I thought it was a good conclusion for the series. They ended up home the way they always intended. To me, in a way, it was pretty much perfect. And to be honest, today, I still feel like the finale is a decent finale, one of the best in the Star Trek franchise. However, I would have done things a little differently with the crew, and so I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a small breakdown of what I would have done. Firstly, I want to mention that the overall plot of the finale would have pretty much stayed the same. The only major change I would have made would have been the fact that I would have had the Borg intending to invade the Alpha Quadrant. In this situation, Admiral Janeway still would have gone back in time to assist the Voyager crew. The Admiral's motivations still would have been the same, but despite this, Voyager still would end up sacrificing their way home to protect the Alpha Quadrant. The major difference between this timeline and the future timeline would be that they now have the future technology that Admiral Janeway gave them, and it would enable them to be more protected and more prepared for the rest of their journey. Now, if this seems a little bit lackluster to you guys, fear not. It's intended to be because I'm intending to build up to something much bigger. Now, as you know, the next project in the Star Trek franchise at that time would have been the 10th movie, Star Trek Nemesis. And while I generally liked that film, if I'd been in control, this movie would have been scrapped completely. I would have ended up doing a 10th film focusing on an all-out Borg invasion of the Alpha Quadrant. During the first quarter of the movie, Voyager will get involved with the Borg and, of course, find their way home through a transwarp conduit. Voyager then would meet with the Enterprise E and the rest of Starfleet and assist them with their defense of Earth against the Borg armadas. Overall, this would have been intended as a cinematic passing of the torch for the Star Trek franchise, very much in the way that Star Trek Generations was for the original series and the TNG crew. This 10th film would have done the same for the Voyager crew and the TNG crew, where Captain Picard and the Enterprise would essentially pass on the torch to Captain Janeway and her Voyager crew, and they would be the main characters for the next 3 or 4 Star Trek movies in the franchise. And that's my take on how Star Trek Voyager should have ended. Be sure to drop a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys thought of the alternate ideas that the creators were considering. And, of course, let me know what you thought of my ideas as well. Be sure to subscribe for more videos in the future. Be sure to drop a like if you enjoyed the video as well. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care, live long and prosper.